He shoved her suitcase out the door while she was doubled over in pain, and with a cold voice said, "Die with your baby for all I care." That was the moment Claire realized the man she married wasn't just selfish, he was cruel. And yet the night he threw her out while she was in labor wasn't the end of her story. It was the spark that lit a fire he could never put out. Claire wasn't some fragile little flower. She was a fighter, even if life had spent years trying to convince her otherwise. That night she leaned on the railing, clutching her belly, tears stinging her face, and whispered to herself, "Breathe. Just breathe." A cab driver became her lifeline. A nurse in the ER held her hand when no one else would. And when her baby's first cry filled that hospital room, Claire made a promise, quiet but sharp, that one day every person who had laughed at her pain would see her rise. Those first months were brutal. She worked 2 jobs cleaning houses where the women in pearls whispered about how unstable she'd been. At night she waited tables, fake smile plastered on, while old neighbors gossiped Mark finally upgraded. His new wife is gorgeous. She heard it all. She swallowed it down. And every time she bent over a mop or carried a tray, she repeated the same words under her breath. Not forever. This isn't forever. What nobody knew. What Claire kept hidden in a wooden chest under her bed was the truth her father had left her. Letters. Legal papers. A trust worth $20 million. The world thought she was barely hanging on. They mocked her, pitied her, erased her. But she carried a secret so powerful it could shake the very foundation Mark strutted on. She kissed her daughter's forehead one night and whispered, "Not yet. They'll never see it coming." Meanwhile, Mark was basking in his new marriage to Vanessa, the polished woman who wore diamonds like skin. Their wedding was splashed across magazines, chandeliers, dripping crystals, captions calling it a fresh start. Vanessa smirked at brunches, telling friends Claire keeps begging him to come back. It's pathetic. But the cracks were already showing. She walked in one afternoon to find Mark leaning too close to another woman, whispering promises he once whispered to her. When she confronted him, he rolled his eyes. "You're imagining things." Vanessa smiled through clenched teeth, but inside she thought maybe Claire hadn't been so crazy after all. Claire, meanwhile, was meeting quietly with Mr. Hawthorne, her father's old attorney. He slid the papers across the desk. "It's ironclad. The trust is yours alone, every cent intact." Claire looked out the window, her reflection stronger than she remembered. "Then it's time," she said. And from that moment, she wasn't just surviving, she was building. Anonymous investments began swallowing Bennett Global stock. Mark's temper turned volcanic. He slammed reports in meetings, barked at assistants, poured whiskey at noon. "Someone's targeting me," he shouted. Vanessa sat back, legs crossed, hiding a smirk. She had her own insurance policy, feeding his rivals' secrets behind hotel bar doors. Mark was too busy unraveling to notice. Claire's mother, Patricia, showed up at her apartment, heels clicking, nose wrinkled at the peeling paint. "You've got something," she accused. "Money. Help. Who gave it to you?" Claire stood tall. "Why do you care?" Patricia's eyes narrowed. "Because I deserve to know. I carried you all these years." Claire's voice dropped cold and steady. "You carried me. You took his side while I was begging for help in labor. You called me unstable. Don't come crawling now." Patricia blinked, stunned, and for the first time walked out weaker than her daughter. Then came the night everything flipped. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers, champagne flutes, and the city's elite circling Mark like flies around honey. He smoothed his tux, plastered on that grin, told reporters, "Rumors are a poor man's entertainment." "My company is thriving," Vanessa whispered through her teeth. "Smile bigger. They smell nerves." And then the music faltered. Heads turned toward the grand staircase. Claire appeared in a silver gown, her presence slicing through the room like a blade. The whispers started. "Is that Claire? Didn't he throw her out while she was pregnant?" Mark's glass nearly slipped from his hand. "What the hell is she doing here?" he hissed. Claire walked straight into the spotlight, calm, unshaken. "Good evening," she said, her voice carrying. Mark forced a laugh. "I didn't know they let just anyone in." She tilted her head. "Don't worry, Mark. I was invited by the board." Gasps rippled. He sputtered. "The board attorney." Hawthorne stepped forward, handed her a folder, and with one click of a remote, screens lit up. documents, transactions, and finally her name. "It's me," she said simply. "Claire Whitman, majority shareholder." The crowd erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted. Mark's face drained of color. "You don't have money," he stammered. Claire's lips curved. "I inherited 20 million from my father. While you mocked me, I invested quietly, patiently. And tonight I own what you thought you'd built on my back." One by one, the screens rolled. Mark's old emails. "Her father's money is real. I'll lock it down after the wedding." Vanessa's messages. "He's slipping. I'll make sure his rivals get everything they need." Even Patricia's bank transfers proof she took money to testify against her own daughter. The room turned. Gasps, murmurs, laughter at Mark, not with him. Vanessa shrieked, "That's doctored." Hawthorne cut her off. "Pulled from your cloud." Mark spun on her. "You betrayed me," Vanessa sneered. "You betrayed everyone." Patricia tried to push through the crowd, tears on her cheeks, but people pulled back, whispering shame. Mark dropped to his knees, hands trembling. "Please, Claire, don't take everything." Claire's eyes didn't soften. "I'm not taking anything. I'm reclaiming what was mine all along." The board chair stepped forward, cool as ice. Effective immediately, Mark Bennett is removed as CEO. Cameras flashed. Applause broke like thunder. Vanessa slipped toward the door, whispered "snake," trailing behind her. Patricia crumbled in the corner. And Mark, the man who once shoved his laboring wife into the night, knelt alone on the ballroom floor, stripped of everything but his shame. Claire walked out through a parted crowd, heads bowing as she passed. Outside, her car waited. Inside, her daughter slept peacefully. Claire climbed in, kissed her child's forehead, and whispered, "We're free." The city lights glittered like stars, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel small. She felt like the storm that had finally arrived. Now, some folks say she was ruthless, that she humiliated a man when she could have just walked away. Others say she didn't go far enough, that justice demanded more. What do you think? Was Claire right to take back everything in public, or should she have stayed quiet and let the past rest? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what justice looks like to you, because this story isn't just about betrayal. It's about how we rise when the world counts us out. And if you believe in stories where the underdog finally gets the last word, hit that subscribe button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and let's keep this conversation alive. He shoved her suitcase out the door while she was doubled over in pain, and with a cold voice said, "Die with your baby for all I care." That was the moment Claire realized the man she married wasn't just selfish, he was cruel. And yet the night he threw her out while she was in labor wasn't the end of her story. It was the spark that lit a fire he could never put out. Claire wasn't some fragile little flower. She was a fighter, even if life had spent years trying to convince her otherwise. That night she leaned on the railing, clutching her belly.